Welcome to Beyond Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Petrellis, and we are super excited for today's guest. As you can see, we have 4 people on the screen in total. I upped my purchase on Zoom and got the next package, so I can have like 350 people in here at once. So it's cool to be able to have multiple people on here and really hype up our beginning of our high school coverage for this season. We're big into covering high school football. We've been doing it the last couple of years. And Wilmington High School was a place that we actually went to. It was the second game that we've ever covered. We showed up. They were playing Bill Rick, a real tough game, physical game back and forth. And, we really covered Coach Turner. We had him on the podcast shortly after that. And actually, I think before that, and then covered you guys after that. It was really fun to see your program and how you run it over the years and living in Wilmington and just kind of following up with it. It's been fun with you guys. And obviously, some of the players have been developed through this program and some of the good leadership that's come through. We have a couple captains on here today. We have Clyde Lambert and Nick Iasconi. I think I said that right. But they're coming on here to chat with us. So, we're covering Wilmington High School this Friday night, 6 p.m. Beyond Podcast will be there. We're going to give you that like sideline access, all access into these guys getting hyped up for their home opener. I know the student body. Wilmington shuts down. There's a lot of people there, so it's always a great feeling to open up at home the beginning of your season. So without further ado, Coach Craig Turner from Wilmington High School, and as I said before, Clyde Lambert and Nick Iasconi. Welcome to Beyond Podcast, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, man. So, we're excited. We're covering you guys. I reached out to Coach Turner, in the summer, like I would say maybe late spring, early summer, and just said, I'd be really interested in covering you guys. And, I live in Wilmington, so I follow the sports here. I'm a big high school, football buff, but like high school sports buff in general. So it's real fun to be able to kind of cover the local team and see what's going on. So, Coach, I'll start with you here. Just talk about this training camp a little bit. Obviously, we're now getting into, you guys are opening up in less than 48 hours where you practice every day and, getting ready for an Arlington Catholic opponent who I'm very familiar with. I used to be the head football coach there. And, I know some of those guys last year, Isaiah Allgood, Thomas Driscoll. I mean, those guys were there when I was there. So, I know you play a tough Arlington Catholic team, but let's start with training camp. Like, what did you see this season coming into it, the type of team you had returning from maybe the previous season?
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of kids coming back. We had a lot of guys that got varsity experience for the first time last year. So we kind of hit the ground running. Unfortunately, we've been banged up all through camp. We're probably the healthiest we've been all through camp at this point right now. Still down a couple guys, but we hope to have those guys back pretty soon. But it's been good. We played a really tough, challenging scrimmage schedule, which was on purpose. We scrimmaged Winchester, we scrimmaged Billerica, we scrimmaged Framingham. So some, much bigger schools, much bigger programs, really tough physical teams that I think it really will kind of prepare us for our schedule. So it's been a good camp. I think we're much farther ahead now than we were at this point last year, just based on experience. But I've got a really, really good senior class. I think 23 kids in the senior class, and they've led us in a great way this preseason. And we've got a really good sophomore class as well, and those guys are really kind of popping and pitching in and helping the varsity guys. So it's been good competition. We got a lot of guys that are playing a lot of different positions and really contributing in different ways. So excited to see what we can put out there Friday night.
Yeah, and it's great to hear. I mean, that's one thing about you that I've kind of noticed over the years, and this is obviously knowing, one of your former coaches, Bobby Donahue, and 3 of us talking a lot about football. You don't really back down from playing people. Like, you play in the Middlesex League, you're going to be playing some monsters, so you got to prepare for that, in your training camp. And yeah, playing Bill Rick, I mean, that's no slouch. That's no slouch. So, it's good to hear that you understand the point system maybe as well. So I'll ask this question to you guys, and whoever wants to jump in first, talk about it. I mean, coach said that you knew that you had a lot of players returning. You knew that you had a lot of experience coming back as leaders of this program, and knowing that you guys were leading this team into this season. What was something maybe as leaders or captains of this program that you maybe demanded of your team, specifically, let's say in the summer, your teammates in the summer, leaning into training camp to kind of be ahead of where you were, like Coach said, from last year?
I guess I'll take this one to start. I really, I mean, both of us, me and Clyde, even all the captains, really pushed for kids to get in the gym. That was just like that's the easiest way to start, I think, to up our game
Mhm.
because Planet Fitness had the free summer pass, so you just had to sign up and you can go as much as you wanted throughout the whole summer for free. And I think that was like the very beginning of how we really push ourselves, I myself personally, but also the rest of the team to up their game. That was like the first step, I think.
Yeah, I mean it's important because obviously, football's the fall season, the first season, and kids play winter sports and kids play spring sports. It's not just football and that's it. So obviously the fluctuation in the weight room of who's there and who's coming in obviously really isn't too consistent maybe until the summer when you see kind of the dogs who are coming in every day, like working really hard, right? So obviously you get that buy-in amongst the team. So I'll flip it to now training camp a little bit. I mean, talk about what you guys maybe learned about your team in training camp a little bit. Obviously, the experience, I think you knew that was there, but I've coached plenty of teams that had experience coming back and maybe didn't have the best training camp or maybe weren't as talented as we thought maybe potentially they could be. So for you guys, what did you maybe see in your squad, your team? I mean, the sophomores are contributing, so maybe there were some surprises there. But maybe talk about what you guys learned about your squad going into the season.
Yeah, I think coach is right when he said that there was a lot of we are much farther ahead now than we were last year, and I think that is due to our experienced team. I mean, we have a lot of juniors that have been in the program 3 years, so we can kind of hit the ground running. We kind of already know what we're doing. This point last year in the year, we would have been still trying to go through plays, walk kids through, and make sure everyone knows what they're doing. And I think we're past that point now. We're trying to perfect what we're doing and make sure that we can use that against our opponents. So I think we're kind of starting running, and I also think that during the summer it's pretty easy to get off track to not care about football. You're going to the beach, you're hanging out with friends, sitting inside, sleeping in. It's pretty easy to just not really care about sports. But I think a lot of people on the team did a good job of getting in the weight room, like Nick said, and also maybe doing some conditioning here and there. We didn't get as many captains practices as we were intending. Me and Nick weren't actually captains until just a few days ago.
So you earned it. You earned it. I like that. You earned it.
Yeah,
Wow.
we had three captains before, but and the three the two of us and another kid, Noah Spencer, we were then elected and nominated just a few practices ago. So
Okay, so even more so for you guys, like you're leading in that off season and you're not necessarily a captain at that point or whatever, but you're buying into who you guys are, your identity and going forward, knowing that you potentially bring back a lot of experience and have something really brewing for this season. Coach, I'll jump back into this with you and I guess kind of similarly asking coaches is always like surprises at training camps, whether it's a player or maybe something that's just maybe clicking for you a little bit. What's been either an individual or individuals who've kind of surprised a little bit, or the opposite, just maybe something that's clicking a little bit more than you thought maybe it potentially could.
Yeah, I'd probably turn to the bottom right here and look at Nick Iasconi as a kid that surprised in camp and not necessarily surprised. Like I didn't think he'd do it, but just his play at halfback has been fantastic. And last year he was kind of, our second or third halfback, but really stayed with it and worked hard at it. And he came back. Like I remember talking to him in the spring. He's like, Coach, I'm going to be 180. I'm going to put on weight. I'm going to get 180. I'm like, yeah, all right, Nick, I bet. Here he is, 5'10", 180, and like running like a truck. So he's been a very, very big surprise. I think we have two really good young running backs behind him, and I thought they might push him and go past him, but Nick didn't let it happen. So it's a credit to him, really, and the work he's put in. The other surprise is really what we've seen throughout the summer, I would say, is through our skill position groups. Our wide receivers are very talented. I feel very good about putting, 6-7 different guys out there to catch passes, and I don't see much of a drop off. So that group's been very good too. And then we've had a couple young guys that have impressed. We got a freshman quarterback that I think is going to be very good when his chance comes down the line, and a freshman running back who will probably get some carries on Friday night. That's I wouldn't be surprised if he popped a long one. We got a nice little 1-2 punch in the backfield with Nick, who's going to kind of put his head down and get us those hard yards, and we got a good young back that can kind of really scoot. So excited to see those guys and what they can do.
Now I'm going to ask you just a different type of question, because when I did cover you guys a few years back, I mean, how cool / intimidating is it to have a band that comes out and just kind of rocks it during your game? But beforehand, what I thought was great when you guys played Bill Rickers, like they just kind of march around the track and they're like boom, 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 like right around the other opponent's side. I mean, that got me kind of like juiced up covering the game when I was with you guys. So, I mean, how cool is it to have a band and to really have that like cool high school feel? I mean, I coached at a Catholic school and at Arlington Catholic. I mean, who you guys are playing, right? And we used to say like, man, we wish we had a band, because when we go and scout teams, the atmosphere and like the town coming in, I'm like, the band helps the football team and the football team helps the band. It is like a perfect matrimony of like of getting people to come to a game. How cool is it to have a band, and how much do they get you guys pumped up during a game when you hear them rocking for you?
I think
I'll go ahead. Yeah, I just think it's awesome. It really puts a good aura on the game. And not only do we have a band, we have a very good band.
Yeah.
That's definitely something that Wilmington's known for, and the high school's known for. So I really love it. That what you were saying, where they're going around the track, marching around the track with that deep drum beat. Yeah. I really think that's a really good intimidation factor for anyone in the stands, for that other team standing there watching. Yeah, I really love it. I think it just helps to lock us in and turn that Friday Night Lights into an actual football game.
Yeah, I think at the very beginning, when we first step out, like we step onto the field, that's I think the best. That's what gets me the most hype. If they're already out there playing, even if they're like warming up before the other team is even there, like it's just good to know that they're always there watching and having our backs.
Yeah, I was like you, Anthony. I came from Mystic Valley. We didn't have a band. Like we were lucky we had cheerleaders. That was like when I first showed up, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome!" Like that's a high school football atmosphere. Yeah. Bands pumping. Like it's hard to hear when the other team's on offense and our band's going. Like, yeah, love those guys. In fact, I can think of a couple times over the years, like we've had kids that played in the band and were on the football team, and band is a class at Wilmington, so it's kind of a unique setup. So awesome. Those kids will, like, if it's halftime, they're like taking off their shoulder pads and helmets, and they're out there playing the tuba in their football pants. And and there'd be games like if it was pouring raining and they wouldn't come, and be like, "Where's the band? We need the band! Like the band needs to be here." So those guys are awesome, the best band in the land.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I hyped them up on that video. Their coach is great. They really should have people like on their phones or with cameras just following them around when they do that at the track. I mean, I think they could make like their own cool hype video, and they're recruiting young kids who are interested in playing instruments and being in band to like see like this is what you're coming into like when you're part of that high school sports atmosphere and vibes. So that's real cool. Well, let's be funny here for a second. Let's talk about some of your teammates here a little bit, guys that make up the team. I'm just gonna ask you, who's like the scariest dude on the team? Like, who's someone on the team like when they get angry on the field, you're like, oh boy, to the opponent, like you got to deal with this kid. He's kind of out of his mind, maybe a little bit, but like someone who is just a bulldog and just is a tough person to go against consistently. And maybe it's one of you guys.
I think Dempsey is
we both know who we're gonna say.
Yeah, he gets out there and all he cares about is hitting someone else, whether he has the ball or he doesn't. He just wants to get out there and hit somebody, and it's awesome. It's gets everybody hype. It's just great time. He's a good leader. He's also a captain. He's a great leader out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's definitely been a few people in practice that he's put on their backs too, and nothing wrong with that once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you got to have a guy like that. I think it's important on a team to have a guy like that, because if that guy's your hardest hitting guy and he's bringing it consistently, like no one really has an excuse not to bring it consistently as well. So yeah, I saw a video of him last year, maybe like Wilmington Public Access, like covered you guys or something like that a little bit. And it was like a minute video of him, I think, on Instagram running around. Like he looks like the juggernaut, kind of like he's like, yeah, he's like got the big shoulder pads, big arms. Yeah. So I know who you're talking about, I think.
I would say it's Febo because he never says a word. So like you got to be scared of the guys who don't say anything ever. Like those guys are the scariest. Like what are they thinking about?
Yeah.
Those guys are the ones that scare me.
Well, that's it, because you don't know what they're thinking ever, and it's like
he's an intense kid too.
Yeah, and then they hit someone, you're like, oh my God, this kid is something, Yeah, I've seen plenty of those come through programs. With that being said, obviously I've kind of alluded to a few times. I've coached Arlington Catholic for a lot in my career I hit my computer there, as a an assistant coach, as a coordinator, and then as a head coach. So when I saw that matchup, it was very intriguing to me, those schools playing each other. And I know last year they got a little bit of the better of you guys. But a good football game, a pretty back and forth football game. And then they jumped out to an early lead, and you guys kind of came back and steered the ship there a little bit, just from what I understood and whatever. But talk about the going into this year, home opener for you guys. You're playing in your place a little bit. You've seen these guys now, maybe understand their style of offense a little bit more, and defensively as well. I mean, talk about your opponent, what you know about them, and what you're going to be ready for.
Yeah, I mean, no offense to your alma mater for coaching, but
I'm taking me. I'm very neutral right now. I'm in the business. You know what I mean?
PC here, Clyde.
Yeah, I mean, last year we went into that game. We went into that game thinking that we'd get a win and that we'd start the year off right. And I think that was really a letdown for us. That was, just not enough effort on our part, and we just fell short in areas that we needed to hold firm. And I think that game was that was a tough loss for us. And I think that's going to be good for this year, because we kind of got to earn that respect back in this game. And I'm pretty sure that we can do it.
I love it. You want to jump in? You want to add anything into that?
I mean, I truly believe, last year we definitely believed that we had it in the bag before it even started, I think. But now we're going to be a lot more careful, and I think we're already a lot more prepared than we were last year. So I'm excited. Just want to see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Coach, would you agree? Maybe do you see a different focus from the squad this year, maybe going into the home opener?
Yeah, I think they have our attention. They earned that attention last year, and they certainly had my attention last year. Unfortunately, I didn't do a good enough job just by listening to what these guys said of getting the attention of the kids, because they had some great athletes on that team last year. I mean, there's quarterbacks at Bentley. They had a bunch of other athletes outside, some really tough kids at linebacker, and they got some good kids back too. The young quarterback's really impressive this year. I think he throws a really good ball. They got some good wideouts out wide. The running back is a kid that I really liked. I thought he was an impressive kid. He plays really, really hard. And they get some size up front, man. So I think we probably took them a little lighter than we should have last year, obviously. And I think we're certainly giving them the respect that they deserve this time around. I think they're a quality club, and we've got to be prepared for they do a bunch of different stuff. I mean, they've been running the spread offense as long as anybody in the state. I know Serge really well, and I know Serge pretty good too. And from coaching with him in the Shriners, and Serge always used to talk about how him and Coach Flynn from Barica were the first two spread guys around. So, when you think of Arlington Catholic, you think about good spread offense. They can spread the ball around, they can throw it around, they're gonna go fast and play at a really high level. So we'll have to be ready for that, and I think we're prepared pretty well this week. So, it's a good team, good test. A really quality program that's had a lot of success over the years. So we'll have to be ready.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, again, we kind of alluded to this earlier in the podcast. You don't really back down from playing talent or playing tough teams, obviously, because you have to get prepared for a league in the Middlesex League that, has teams that, have made win the Super Bowl this year, that are really good teams that every year in that, Elite Eight, Final Four talk with football, and you got to play those teams every year. So you obviously got to prep for those guys. So for you guys as players, I mean, Talk about that mentality. Like, you have a coach who just doesn't back down from a challenge. Obviously, that's like someone you want to run through a wall for and play hard for. Talk about the challenge of playing a difficult schedule and what that maybe means to you guys as far as a team and what maybe coach thinks in you guys.
Uh, I I'm glad that we play a tougher schedule because I think if we played a really easy schedule, even if we still lost those games, it wouldn't have pushed me to try to make myself better, like personally. That wouldn't have driven me as much because then I was like, be like, oh, we lost this crap team. I'm just gonna, it's whatever. Next week, there's another crap team that if we played, maybe that's another chance. But I want to be able to go toe to toe with every single team, whether we win or lose. I want it to be a good fight. If we get blown out and we fight the entire time, all 4 quarters, I'd be more happy with that than if we gave up in the third quarter of some whatever crap game and we won. As long as we're fighting the whole time, I think I'll be happy with that. That's it.
Yeah. And I think you play to your opponent a little bit too, right? Like, I've seen that so much in high school football a little bit is sometimes you don't necessarily want to play certain games because if you have a team that kind of plays to the talent that they're going against and they're inconsistent, like, that's not really great for your program. Like, if you're playing teams that you have to be locked in for 4 quarters because it's not going to be a blowout and it's going to be back and forth and it's going to be up and downs, like, that's kind of how you really build your team's like mental toughness. So I think it's great, that your coach does that. On the other end of it, obviously, sometimes you're playing a monster and you're going to be ready to play the monster. And, but I think it teaches you about who you are, character, and so on. I mean, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, coach, but I definitely think you've never really kind of shied away from playing that type of schedule.
Yeah, it's the Middlesex League's tough, and it particularly our side of it is very difficult. It's us being one of the smaller schools in the league, and you face Melrose, who's a perennial power, and Stoneham, who's a perennial power, and Wakefield won the whole thing last year in Division III. So, and we expect Burlington and Watertown, Watertown went deep in the playoffs last year, and we expect Burlington to be a lot better. So it's a tough league. Like, there's no check mark wins. Like, every night is tough once you get into league play. And every kind of opponent presents a different type of challenge, and these are big physical towns, and you need to be ready to play that type of game when you play them on Friday nights in this league. So, I mean, I grew up in the Merrimack Valley, and it's the same type of thing in that league. Like, every night's a war. So, it's part of the allure of why I came to Wilmington 7 years ago, is because of the league and because of the type of games that they play in, and the games, and that's kind of what you want to be in. Like, do you want to play on against some other like tiny school where there's no rivalry, there's nothing behind it, or you want to play in those big games on Friday nights? And that's what drove me wanting to take this job 7 years ago, because the tradition and the rivalries and the big games that you're playing, and that's what you sign up for. So I mean, these guys got it pretty good. I mean, I'd love getting to go against the Iron of the State in the Middlesex League. I mean, can't do much better than that.
No, yeah. I mean, you guys were right in it a few years back, right in the thick of it of winning the Middlesex. So, you guys are competing in there just like every other team is. And like you said, it's a dogfight every single time. Let's just kind of jump into game atmosphere. I mean, obviously we're coming, we're going to be, that locker room, that sideline, catching everything. But we also get involved with your student section. I went there a couple of years back and your student section was rocking. And there's maybe one or two other schools that I could say comparably got to you guys, but I don't know. You guys might have been the best as far as high school football goes that we've covered now going into our 3rd season. Is there a dude I should be looking for, or is there some girl I should be looking for who's like a super fan crazy, someone who's just going to be rocking in the student section that I just need to approach pretty much when I walk in there and just see what's going on?
Joni, you might be better to tackle that than me.
I don't know. I mean, maybe not in the student section per se, but I know Clyde's mom is always going to be supporting us from the standpoint. She's going to be really
all right,
loud.
so I'm looking for super mom. Like,
Yeah.
will she be wearing like the jersey, like the opposite jersey of what you're wearing?
Probably will. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What number are you?
I'm 60.
Okay, so I'm looking for someone who's screaming that should be wearing a number 60 something.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
she'll definitely
All
be
right.
screaming 60. That's for sure.
Well, she's got to support your brother. She got to support Gus too,
Oh yeah. Yep.
also. So I don't know whoever the favorite son is.
Now, what year's your brother? What year's your brother?
He's a sophomore right now.
I mean, so
And-
talk about that because Coach talked about your sophomore class. You're a senior. I mean, you know probably a lot of these kids through your brother. I mean, I'll ask both you guys this, like young guys in your program. I guess we give them a little love here while we're here talking about game week. But who are some of these young guys in your program that are maybe chipping in and helping out? Maybe your brother's one of them. I don't know, but talk about some of these young guys that maybe are helping, as you guys are seniors that are, hey, this guy's filling a spot here or helping out here, or maybe better than we potentially thought here.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely take the chance to shout out my brother. Yeah, he's I definitely think he's one of those kids that's stepping up and taking the roles that's handed to him, going out there trying to give it his all and show that he's really here to play and here to get on that field. And I think he'll be playing in the game. I'm not, maybe Coach can answer that one, but yeah,
He's going to be playing.
Good to hear. Yeah, he's been doing pretty good in the preseason. I think he's been putting in a lot of effort. He's been getting in the gym too with me over the summer, and yeah, I think and people like him, there's definitely a couple other kids, friends of his.
Like I'll just jump in here. I know Colin Allard is one name that I want to throw out there. He's been, even since last year as a freshman, he's been putting himself out there and really he's been playing real hard, been put wherever he needs to play. He's played. He was a quarterback for a little bit last year. He's playing this year too. And then hopefully next year he'll be able to step up and lead the team once we're gone. So.
Wow. I mean, and I think that that's an added responsibility for you guys that you may not even recognize right now because you're so kind of locked into like what you're doing and what your season is. But you guys are paving a bigger picture here for these younger guys to, like, you put in the work in the off season. You guys were consistent. You came in with the locked in training camp. You played some bulk. Now you're jumping into a team that, you're a lot more focused going into this year, understanding what you're seeing potentially more and what you maybe had to clean up. And now you're opening up at home, potentially blows your season up into the way that you wanted to start, right? So I see that you guys just get it and you understand it. And I expect a rocking place there. And Coach, I guess I'll ask you, we'll jump into more of just like the coaching staff in general. Obviously, every coach has a great staff and that also help teach and lead these guys, and you guys can shout out too. But coaches work hard. They put a lot of time into watching film and scouting and preparing for practice and making adjustments and kind of being 24/7 with it. Talk about your staff a little bit, especially going into this season. And, obviously great training camp has to do with that too, having a good staff.
Yeah, I think we've got a great staff. Probably the best one I've had in a long time. It has to start with my brother Sean, who runs the defense for us. He takes on a ton of responsibility. He's really kind of grown as a coach the last 5-6 years, so he does a great job running our defense. I sometimes joke with our guys, we have more coaches than Alabama, it feels like, because we have so many guys that are volunteers that just want to help and be a part of Wilmington football. And I'm lucky. You're a head coach, you know how it is. It's hard to find coaches. And we're lucky to have a lot of good guys to help out. We have Rolly Hinckley, who just turned 75, still coaching, still doing it. He's been coaching longer than I've been alive, I think. He coaches our wing backs and tight ends. John Forts, who is a Wilmington police officer. He's one of our volunteers. He works with the defensive line. Jimmy Rita, who's my wide receiver and DB coach, has been with me forever, since the Mystic Valley days. He's kind of my right-hand man. I don't know, I'd be lost without him. Timmy Morrison, who's a new coach on the staff this year, but someone I had with me at Mystic at those 4 years. Fantastic quarterback coach. He was a quarterback at Billerica High, quarterback at Stonehill. Just a fantastic football mind. Let's see, who am I missing? Like I said, Mark Gentili, who coaches our JV team, and his 3 assistants. This is the biggest thing. We've got 3 assistants with our young guys this year, which has been absolutely huge. Those 3 guys, all volunteers, are doing an awesome job for us. Justin Callow, Nick Sullivan, who both played for me at Wilmington. It's always great to have kids come back. Nick Giardina, who's in his first year. Nick's also coaches basketball at Medford. So he's a good addition to the staff for us. And then Dusty McNeil, who's working with the varsity wide receivers and DBs as well. My dad.
You couldn't leave that one off. I
can't forget my dad. The gift that keeps on giving. Charlie Turner, who works with our special teams and also helps out down with the young guys as well. Did I miss anybody, guys?
I mean, listen, if you did, you just literally named 45 coaches. If someone gets upset about it, shame on them. Shame on them.
I mean,
coach loves you. Coach,
we got a lot of guys. We got a lot of guys that are helping out, and really appreciate that. I mean, I try to make a point to thank my assistant coaches every night. Thank you for your help. Thank you. I mean, a night like tonight, 7 to 9. We're going back again at 5:30 in the morning. And I'm like telling the volunteer guys, I'm like, don't worry about it. You don't need to. They're like, oh, no, we'll be there. We'll be there. Yeah. So just really lucky to have a great coaching staff, loyal guys that are in it for the right reason. They want to make it fun for the kids and they want to win. So, no matter what we need or when it is, they're always there to kind of help pick up some of the load that goes with being a head coach, because a lot how it goes. A lot falls on us in terms of administrative work and dealing with parents and kids and stuff. And they're always willing to kind of take stuff off my plate so that, I can focus on what we need to do. So, and I have to shout out my athletic director too, Dennis Ingram, and the principal, Ryan Gendron. They are very, very supportive of athletics and very, very supportive of this program. And they are all in terms of, getting Wilmington athletics back to what we think it can be. So I think everybody's pulling in the right direction, which is most important.
Yeah, it's great to hear. I mean, Dennis Ingram was a guest on this show when he was the head hoops coach before he was the athletic director. He was great. And I know even your principal, right? He was the head coach at Arlington. We had ourselves a great Thanksgiving game against each other, really down to the wire. So two, athletic guys who get it and understand the potential of sports. And, football season in a sense also sets the tone for the beginning of the school year. The success of the football team, the school's a little more juiced up, the student body's showing up to the game. There's a vibe around the school that's just a little bit different when you are successful. And that can obviously help with, just a great kickoff to the beginning of the year in so many different ways. I'm going to give you players here an opportunity. I mean, we're going to be there Friday. We're stoked. We're glad that we're opening up with you guys. I live in Wilmington, so high school football in a small town to me is just like, there's nothing better in the fall. So I'm sure the place is going to be rocking. I know the student section, I hit them up on Instagram and they're already like mandatory coming. Seems like you guys are coming in with an army. So I'm going to give you a chance to hype up to the student body right now. Get them there Friday night. Tell them how big this is going to be, what this means to you guys. The floor is yours. Go.
Oh yeah. It's a big game. And we're all excited on the team. I know that. And to add on to what Coach was saying, we have so many coaches. In addition to that, we have 6 captains. And, I think that's really helping with the energy on the sidelines and the energy in practices. We have a lot of leaders, a lot of people stepping up to try to, help bring the energy up. And I think if the student section can match that energy, we're going to have a good night on Friday.
I love it.
Oh, yeah. Even, like you said, we got 6 captains, but leadership doesn't stop there. I think almost our entire senior class is going to help lead in one way or another. I've seen it throughout all preseason, all training camp. It's been great. And I really hope that student section will, give us, even if we're down, hopefully they'll hype us right back up, give us some energy, get us ready to go.
Game starts at 6. Get there early.
Yeah, get there. I mean, 6 o'clock game. Yeah. Listen, and I'll say this too, as a former coach, I don't want the student section walking in at 6:15, 6:20 when you're
Nope.
like 7 minutes into the first quarter. Like, no, get there, be rocking before the game starts. Get your team going when they're coming out the tunnel or coming out of the locker room, running onto the field. I mean, those people should be rocking. Whoever's like the ringleader or captain, if they listen to this on this, like, get your stuff together, get people organized, get there on time. Even if you got to just camp out after school and wait there to be there on time, figure it out. Figure it out. I'll hype it up for you guys. But no, we are super excited, obviously, to be going there. I mean, I'm torn here a little bit. I'll be super honest, but my kids are born Wilmington Wildcats. We're in blood. They're in the school system now. So, I'm kind of very neutral covering it, but it'll be an honor for you guys to open up our football season. To me, we cover sports across the entire school year, but the fall's always special to me. We're really booked up with a lot of football teams. So to be able to open up in the town that, I live in, a coach that I really respect, and a program that does things the right way, is an honor for us to be opening up with you guys. So bring it. We'll be there. Let your team know we're going to be there. We want to catch everything. So let us see what you boys are all about. And it will be fun to cover you guys Friday.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So again, this Friday, Wilmington High School, 6 p.m. The football team's opening up against Arlington Catholic High School. Get there 5:30, 5:45. The bleachers should be completely packed. We'll also see how your concession stand is. We're big into rating last year. Malden High School absolutely destroyed everybody. It wasn't even close. They had sausages going, hamburgers, hot dogs. I mean, very animated pizza. I mean, the service was incredible. So where the pressure's on your concession stand a little bit. I know Pizza Mia brings it. I know you guys typically get that there, but it's all about the service. How quick does this line move? What are some of the snacks that you guys have offered? I mean, a high school football game requires a pretty good concession stand. So we'll be checking that out as well.
When we go to Scout, Anthony, what do the coaches always talk about? Like, who's
best
got
concession stand,
right? I can still name the ones from the old days. Like Greater Lowell always had an amazing concession stand. Like Manchester Essex did the grilled hot dogs. Like you don't forget those things.
Yeah, I mean, when we used to play Bishop Fenwick, they guys were like, oh, let's go to the Serge always wanted to go to some hamburger place. And I'm like, no, but Fenwick has the best concession stand. Like, I'm gonna get pizza there and maybe grab a hot dog or whatever. Like, yeah, exactly. You always know the good concession stands to go a little hungry and bring some cash. So but you guys, I am excited. It's an honor to be covering you, and again, follow us on Beyond Podcast. I'm gonna throw a clip up tonight on Instagram of something in this conversation. I'll tag you guys in it, and let's hype it up. I'll start the train for you less than 48 hours till explosion. So we're super excited to be covering it. And again, thank you guys for the opportunity.
Awesome. Appreciate you having us.
Thanks for having us.
All right, guys. So this is Wilmington High School football on Beyond Podcast. Till next time, we have a great lineup coming up. So pay attention to our Instagram. We have some great guests, West Coast guys. So we're super excited, and we'll be out putting everything out soon. So this is Anthony Petralis. Till next time.